Hey guys, Jin here, back with Otakuology podcast, and we are doing another episode of my Gravity Falls review series. So Otakuology, where we cover manga, movies, games, comics, and more of the stuff that me and Mike both like. Like I said, I'm Jin Graves, and I hope you enjoy my little talk with you. So this time we're on season 1, episode 2 of Gravity Falls. This one is actually called The Legend of the Gobblewonker, which is actually pretty funny whenever you start getting into it and look at it. The scene kind of starts out where everybody's at the mystery shack, and you have Uncle Stan say, "Oh, hey, we're going somewhere. Put on blindfolds." The kids don't know where they're going, and they end up with the opening season of the lake, so that you can start fishing and other things like that. Which, they have that in Oregon. That's where Gravity Falls is, and Grunkle Stan just wants them basically to spend time with him, stuff like that. So earlier in the episode, they find a newspaper that is actually kind of funny because it's based off of, just like the opening, if you see these pictures right at the end of it, it's called a wacky news comic thing or whatever. These were actually little things that I know inspired part of this, or part of the stuff for Gravity Falls, which this is the little magazines that you used to be able to find that was like the Vampire Baby or the Swamp Thing of whatever location you lived in. It was just these little kind of like sideshow attraction things or whatever that they wrote into this little kind of funky news book, and I remember seeing them while I was growing up all the time, so I thought it was hilarious. And I think I remember seeing them up until 2019. I never bought one, but it always made me laugh of, oh, did I marry the werewolf? Or I'm having Dracula's baby or something like that. It was all these little cheesy stories about these urban legend monsters that we all know about and stuff. So inside of this newspaper, though, that they were looking at, it said that if you had a picture, then you could actually win basically cash prizes and stuff. And they wanted the pictures of what you could offer them. So that was basically Dipper and Mabel's goal for this episode, was them trying to go and find something that they would be able to take pictures of. From the last episode, we had the gnomes, and early on, Dipper actually asked Mabel, well, do we have any pictures from that we can send in and say, hey, here's this? Mabel was like, no, we didn't have any pictures. So that was the goal for them this episode, was they were trying to get pictures of some kind of strange thing that was out there that they would be able to profit off of. $1,000 cash prize, that's what it was. So, they get taken to the lake with Grunkle Stan, and they're sitting there thinking, okay, well, what is this? And I can't remember the guy's name. I don't actually think they gave him one just yet in this episode, but there's an old man that I think his name is Old Man McGregor or something like that. Just one of those really kind of big hillbilly types with the long beard. You'd think he'd have one of the little alcohol jugs with the triple X's on it, and he might start blowing into it and playing the jug or a washboard or something. It's kind of what he looks like. But not unbeknownst to us, he is a mechanical expert. So we'll get into that a little later. But he comes out and says, oh, there's this monster that's in the lake. What are we going to do about it? We have to do something. It's still around. It's going to attack people. And basically it's kind of like Nessie. That's what the creature kind of gets represented as. And his son is actually the person that owns like the bait and tackle shop right there on the shore. So they're trying to do all that stuff, and he tells him, hey, this thing is going to attack people. We need to help. And so it's drumming up a little more business and stuff like that. Which is this another time when we see another appearance of Blendon, which, like I said in the first one, we saw him there. We saw him here. We'll see him again in the future. So just put that on your record. We saw Blendon in this episode, and that. So after we get there, you may have to go back and actually rewatch both these episodes to know who Blendon is and if you can actually catch him in the background. So they find out that this monster is supposedly on this island in the middle of a lake called Scuttlebutt Island. And they go to try and find it because they're going to take a picture. And Dipper thinks that he has the answer to everything because he goes, what's the biggest problem that you have? If your Bigfoot is out there, then the one problem you usually have is you only bring one camera and it ends up getting lost at some point or broken or something. So they go into this with 17 cameras, and instantly, like 5 of them just end up, things happen. They just end up like either getting broken or somebody accidentally throws one over the side of the boat. Things like that, because they took Soos's boat and left Grunkle Stan in his little dinghy by himself. And they're just trying to figure out, what the heck are we going to do with all this stuff? For sure we're going to catch a picture of it because we have all these cameras. We're going to be able to make sure that we get a picture and be able to send it in. They get down to like one of their last 2 cameras after going through like a running sequence. And we have Dipper kind of daydream that he's going to get a picture of this monster, and kind of in his daydream, he's dressed up as Indiana Jones. And, we kind of go from there into a lot of other things where we have a good thing that's a reference to scary movies that I actually enjoyed, and I didn't catch the first time I watched it. But Sue says, I hope we're not going onto this island and we're going to have to split up at some time because, in movies like that, the side characters usually die within the first 5 minutes of the movie. And he kind of gets this look on his face and looks over at them and he goes, am I a side character? I really hope I'm not. Please, dudes, tell me I'm not a side character. Trying to make sure that he's not going to get attacked by a monster or anything. And they end up finding this Nessie Gobblewonker monster or whatever in the lake. Chases them around, basically runs into some of the boats. Bunch of stuff like that. They find out that there's this little hidden place in a waterfall, and they go into it, and the monster tries to get in there after him and gets stuck. Where Dipper ends up getting his perfect picture of it, but a stalactite falls down and hits the thing in the head, knocking it out, and then they find out that it's basically a robot. And they go in and start knocking on it, and you can hear it's basically like a submarine with this kind of like waterproof skinning around it, and it looks like a Nessie monster. Well, they get the hatch open and find Old Man McGregor inside. So this is like some Scooby-Doo stuff right here. There being some kind of robotic or masked person that is actually the culprit of it, which was another fun part to this episode. And, they open it and they say, why did you do this or whatever? And he goes, well, I'm an old person, and all old people really want to do is be able to spend time with their loved ones. And so what I decided to do was make this drum up business for my son in hopes that he would acknowledge when he basically said that this monster is real, spending time with him to go search for it or something like that. So he kind of got upset about that and said he was going to go back into building more robots and things like that, because that's what he was good at, was basically building these giant robots. And he pulls out a couple of newspapers and shows, like, here's this because of whatever happened, and here's this because of whatever happened, and releasing them on the town, basically to do and rage havoc in whatever way it was before they got shot down or blown up or whatever happened with them. But they end up leaving. Dipper breaks the camera and stuff, and they end up going back in Soos's boat that is now basically full of holes, taking on water, and they tell Grunkle Stan that they're sorry about it and they want to spend the rest of the time with him doing the fishing for the rest of the day, and hop in his boat and get to spend the time just as Soos's boat sinks and goes underwater. So they actually have a good time, enjoying each other's company, fishing, and doing part of the other stuff. Like I know probably some of us got to do with either a grandparent or a parent or something, going to fish and spending that time together. But then we do get a really nice scene that is probably just for us as they're leaving. You see the last camera that they had that they took part of these memories from drop into the water, and there is a real Nessie monster that actually comes up and gobbles the camera. Now, we don't ever see this creature again, which I'm a little upset about. I think it would be cool if we got to see it later on in the future. Sadly, we didn't, but that's just one of the other things in Gravity Falls that makes it mysterious of what's there and what's not around. But, for me, I think this episode is really good. I enjoyed a lot of it, being the fact that, like Nessie and Bigfoot and the Chupacabra and other cryptids, which, if you don't know that, cryptid is basically any urban legend kind of creature that could or could not exist. And their study, cryptozoology, really makes this series really fun. I think for anybody that kind of has that belief of that or aliens or, anything like that, anything that you would see like on Ancient Aliens or other shows that do depict things like that could happen. I do really think that makes it fun and enjoyable and really opens up basically the series of what Gravity Falls is, of just being all this randomness of urban legends and aliens and everything else, and what mysterious stuff there is that's still out there, because a lot of it we don't know if it's true or if it is. It's something that maybe time will tell. I mean, we do have some things that are out there, and we do have people that find something that it could be this, and we just don't know because we can't catch it or haven't seen it or whatever. It's one of those things that, you had to have a little faith in, I believe. So, but this is episode 2 of Jen's reviews for Gravity Falls, Legend of the Gobblewonker. And it is another one of my favorite episodes of the series, just because you kind of get that whole learning curve of being able to spend time with your loved ones and having a tall tale or something like that that actually pulls you into it. Kind of like part of like stuff with me, like my grandpa was a really good storyteller, so I enjoy being able to know that stuff, or know different stories like the Big Fish movie, or other things like that. They're just really enjoyable and fun. And I think a lot of that plays into a lot of our movies nowadays, as well as manga and comics and all this other stuff like myths and legends and all this other stuff really aren't going anywhere. So I find it really fun and enjoyable, especially in this series. So anyway, though, that is the end of our episode. I hope that you guys really enjoyed it. I will catch y'all later. Make sure to check us out, watch our other shows, watch Mike's other show, watch our shows that we collab on, and I will see you next Tuesday, okay? Thanks for tuning in, and catch you later. Bye.